Hey everybody, what's up? Don Carr here with another round of What's on Your Pedalboard, and today it is Andy Timmons. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so lucky. Andy.
Hey Don, it's great to see you. Great to be back at Sweetwater for one, but yeah, it's always a good reunion for you and I.
It is, man.
We have some good collective history back from our
we do.
Southern Indiana, Kentucky days.
Indeed. Man, welcome, seriously.
Thank you.
So this is interesting because you have your B-board with you.
Yes, this would be the board, like if I'm going to sit in with somebody or if I'm doing something where I can't bring the pedal board that's got one of everything on it.
Right.
Yeah, this is my bare essentials board that I can go get a couple sounds that I use the most anyway, and then be comfy in just about any situation.
Right. So it's like, I'm assuming flying. So
Yeah.
you've got backline and
Right.
you have to deal with that, or
Sure.
like situation coming here where you're just doing a couple of specific things.
Yeah.
And
Even though fortunately here I had the maces that I'm used to running through,
Yeah.
but there is situations where you'll show up and it's backline. It might be an old twin or something.
Could be
So the
anything.
pedals that I've got on the board are like, I know I can get my sound almost into anything. I used to think at one point, I'll get my sound on just about anything, until I showed up at a gig one time and I plugged it into something so bad, like, that is not true. I need at least a bare minimum of something decent,
There is a level.
Luckily,
it's way down there, but there is
overall,
a level.
yeah, I can. With this, I can get by just about on anything.
Yeah. So, and for travel, super easy, small, light.
Yeah.
You check it, or do you carry
it? Actually
on?
fit. It's something that I can actually fit in my suitcase. Pack a couple of changes of clothes. Like for this, I'm gone for 2 or 3 days, and it was like, let's keep it light, because we were here, doing a bunch of demo stuff for the Halo. So I just what are my other essential sounds, and that's what ended up on the board.
Yeah. This is great, man. It's always, to me, it's an interesting glimpse into somebody like yourself who has a big rig, and you have a specific thing, and a specific vibe, and it's like, okay, so how do you do it when you don't have all that?
Exactly, and it's a great study for me too. It's like, because I have. I'm so fortunate to have all these things at my with the switching system, with the gig rig, and all the things that okay. But I learn about me too when it gets down to the situation. Here, I can get by on this. And sometimes it's like, it's probably better than having too many options. So.
Yeah, well, and if you're not doing like something hyper specific, where you need sound changes immediately or whatever, you need to go from this sound to this sound, or if it's what you're doing is really focused and it's like, these are the parameters. I only have to live within this world. So
right.
Anyway, super cool, man. Yeah, this is great. So let's talk about it. What do you
Absolutely.
got here?
Well, I always say that my most important pedal usually is my tuner, whatever tuner it is. Today it's a Strobo Stomp. I've had a variety of different smaller pedals, but and I know some guys like the thing on their headstock. I just can't get used to that thing, appendage.
Yeah.
Even though they work great, so I just like having a good tuner on the front of my board, so I can tune quietly in between songs. And
so you like to use the tuner as a mute?
Yeah, well, it's obviously for the tuning, but it is good to have for the muting. And today we're basically running just straight into the front of 2 clean amps, the 2 old Lone Stars. And so everything is in front of the amp as far as any gain. And of course, then I've got the Halo, the Keeley Halo in the effects loop. And for all these examples, I am going to have it on, because delay tends not to be really an effect for me, but it's kind of part of the tone at all times. It's like it's never off.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing the delays in there, just know that. And we'll eventually talk about the delay, but it's all factoring into how I hear each sound and how I've tailored each sound.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely your thing, man. And the Halo's killing, man.
I'm so ecstatic with it. I can't even tell you. So it was a long time in the development. I mean, I think from first meeting Robert Keeley and having the idea, it was about 3 years of stops and starts and various things, and then of course with COVID and so many things got in the way. But over the last year, it caught fire and everybody got real excited about it. And so they're in Oklahoma City and I'm in McKinney, so it's like 3 hours. So we literally drove back and forth,
Man, that's
bunch.
And that's the way it should be too, though, because how can you collaborate with something like this over the phone?
It's the only way. And of course, we've done stuff like that over the years in other ways with other companies. But you really got to be in the room when you're as deep of detail as we got into with the Halo and the intricacies of how the delays taper into each other to get this reverb tone and the way the top end is. Yeah, it was massively helpful and they went down the rabbit hole with me in a beautiful way. So I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, that's the best part. Well, and functionally for yourself, first of all, you got what you need to use.
Yes,
to do your thing.
Selfishly, folks. Yes.
No, not at all, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of the goal. It's like these are all tools to serve your purpose, you know. And it's like, man, now you got it.
Exactly, because I'd been using either the old tape echoes, which are volatile, and even the older analog units, also volatile. There's modern. Digital stuff that I was using, but they were larger units and did a million things. I don't need that. I really needed something that would just have my sound. Yeah. And it comes programmed in the pedal. You turn on the first patch, you plug in the pedal, and it's already programmed with my tone, that halo kind of, dual echo sound that I'll demonstrate in a second.
Cool, man. Yeah. That's great. That's great. So do you show up and play the first chord for them or something when they buy it, or?
I could do that.
I wish you would. That'd be great.
We can arrange
man.
that, can't we?
Yeah, just show up at somebody when they buy one, just show them the doorstep, play the first chord.
We didn't ask for this guy, but he comes with the pedal. Man,
I don't know what to do. Okay, so signal flow wise, we come out of the tuner and go to the...
Yeah, so we go out of the tuner into the Boss Blues driver. The main one on my main board is one that Robert Keeley happened to have modded years ago, and that's my favorite kind of magic one, but I keep it on the main board. And this is just a regular, this is non-modded, and so I'll give you a taste of the clean amp without it, and then I'll engage the blues driver. So. And now with. So anytime I need a little bit more top end, still it's fairly cleanish, but just a little bit of breakup to get some grind out of it if I need to, or if I lighten it up, it really has a nice sparkly thing that works really well with the delay.
Yeah, super responsive. Well, and that's the other thing too, it gives you just an extra layer of dynamic range.
Yes,
which is great. Yeah.
Oh, so the next spot is like, I really don't need the next pedal. It was just like, well, I really only need the mild gain and then the full gain pedal that I have with the JHS AT pedal. But in the middle right now is an old fuzz face. It was the Banded Gypsies version of the little mini fuzz face. Right, and it does fit on the pedal board. I haven't got it tweaked out yet, so it's really, there's one less pedal to talk about. But so, if I've got the clean amp and then I've got that mild slight breakup tone, then all I really need in the course of an evening would be my main lead tone.
Yeah.
And that's what I've got with the JHS pedal that I did with Josh Scott. And it's, called the AT, the little @ sign. Clever little logo.
Indeed.
And so that takes me from the straight clean sound to full on lead sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that also has a great dynamic range in it as well. And just and it is your tone.
In a box. Well, and that's the beauty. It's so tweakable with the top end. It's kind of a presence and treble type thing where, some amps, like if you get a twin or something like that, it's going to inherently have some pretty brittle top end.
Yeah.
So this thing you can really warm up, have just the right amount of gain without it being too fuzzy, which is always kind of a balancing act for me, is to have enough gain for it to really sing and to get the melodies that I want to have. And if it's too saturated and too distorted, then it's a little too buzzy.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to balance.
It is a hard thing to balance. And like you say, getting the top end right, because you want the articulation, you want the notes to stand out, you want everything to be heard, but if it's too bright, then it's like,
yeah, like exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the clean amp and then the pedal turned on. So. So I can get by with that.
Yeah.
I can get,
Yeah. Unless you do your thing.
It does. It totally does. So again, with the subtle gain, the full gain, and as long as I've got my halo in there, because that is so much of what I rely on for the kind of space that I want to. The actual title halo refers to, like, when I play the note stays in tune and it's kind of down this laser beam, but everything around it kind of gets hazy and it's detuned a little bit with modulation, so it creates like this little like an angelic halo around
exactly.
it.
And well, we talked about playing in a trio. I mean, that's a whole different thing. You've got to cover some space and you've got to have some motion. Got that built in, just a little bit of motion where one note really has that much more emphasis to it, that much more weight. Yeah, man.
And I'm so blessed that we've worked with Mike Dane all these years. There's an instinctual thing that happens between us. He knows what to cover wherever I am in the phrase or in the neck. But let me demonstrate that bit of the halo thing where it's you just hear it go almost slightly out of tune at the very end. So.
Yeah, God, that's great. And it really does. The thing to me that is so interesting about the halo is that, and I know you guys worked hard on this, is getting the dispersion, right, and getting the trails to completely kind of melt, right. But the high end didn't go away. But it also doesn't like rip your head off at high end either. It's like, where's that perfect little spot? You guys found it, man.
And the kind of spread that's in the modulation itself. We worked real hard on that. But yeah, you're right. So it doesn't get too muddy, and it has that high pass filter where you can really taper the sound of the echoes to the particular cabinet and amp setup that you've got, so it doesn't get too muddy.
Yeah.
And there's actually a tone feature as well to taper that top end if you got something that's a little too bright.
Yeah,
right. Or maybe your tone's a little darker. You might want a little bit of that brightness, like somebody might add a plate reverb or something. Yeah. Because this does have such a verby thing about it, the way that. I forget what you said, dissipated, but the way it feathers into itself. And it stays out of the way. Sometimes if you have a straight digitally kind of sounding delay,
it's distracting.
As wet as I like it, which I do, it can be too much interference.
Right. And if it's too dark, then all of a sudden it's like down there in the low end.
Exactly.
And it's like kind of messing with that.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time on it, and I was very blessed that they were willing to go, as many times back to the drawing board as we needed to get things just right. Because once you get to a spot and you change one little thing somewhere in there, it's like, well, it affects everything. So it was a really beautiful process, and it really was because we were in the room together. Robert Keeley, Aaron Pierce, and I. Like I mentioned, we drove back and forth between each other's, studios to be in the room, and the hang was great. We all get along great, and that's such an important thing with any company that you're going to work with. Fortunately, there's that just the natural foundation of a friendship and a common goal. Let's get this thing right.
Yeah.
And they knew it was going to take some work to get what I was using on my board off my board, because it's been there for a while.
Yeah.
So I knew that we had to exceed, if not exceed, and I think we greatly exceeded it. So couldn't be more thrilled. And
that's
so
awesome.
Thank you, Robert and Aaron.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a comfort zone thing, because you're working. I mean, that's something to really consider. Is like, this is a tool, and I'm trying to do what I need to do.
Yeah, and and for whatever, I'm very blessed that there's people that are fans of my playing, but a lot of people compliment my tone and whatever they like about the sounds that I make. So there's a bench that I set for myself because of my heroes. You talk about Eric Johnson, and you talk about Stevie Ray, and all the great guitar tones that you have in your head that you'll never reach, but you try, and that's how you create your own sound.
Yeah.
And so when people are looking to me for, if they think I'm a sonic inspiration, well, not only does, I've got my bar set high, but now I've got other people's bar set high that I need to make sure that I meet their expectations as well. So it's,
Yeah.
But it went on the board. And it's like, okay, it's not coming off.
Nice.
That's the beauty.
Yeah, it's glued down, man. You're done.
Yes,
well, I mean, it's
exactly.
Velcro, but still.
Well, Loctite. Yes.
All right,
So
Loctite.
it's fairly committed.
It's
not.
reasonably
Trust
committed.
me. And look at that size. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that part of it's amazing too.
That's great.
The size is
And
awesome.
it actually has, you've got 8 sounds that you can save. So there's basically 4 presets, and you've got two sounds on each preset.
Oh, okay.
So I've got 2 sounds at my immediate disposal. And there's just like easily scroll through the other sounds by holding down both buttons. Like that. Funky chorus we set up. So lots of fun. Again, 8 sounds.
Yeah.
It's going to come, like I said, it's going to come programmed with like 4 sounds that I've already programmed myself.
Cool.
Starting with the Halo sound, the first patch you turn on.
Yeah, slot 1, the Andy sound.
No mystery involved. It's all there for you. Yeah. And you may want to keep it. You may want to do your own thing.
No, it's great, man.
Yeah.
It's really killing, though.
Thank
really
you.
sounds great. Okay, so I see for power, you have a pedal power Voodoo Lab.
Yep.
Right, and then a junction box.
Yeah.
So is that custom made?
This was put together by Brian O'Million at the Guitar Sanctuary, my little music shop there in my hometown of McKinney, Texas. Yeah. And he's great with. He's the one that actually put together my larger board, and so this was one that was done pretty much in haste. But it's perfect. Just enough to power the minimum of pedals that I need.
Yeah.
And the free the tone's a nice clean junction box, works great.
Yeah, the junction box part of it is great too, because I'm sure like if you're like rushing up to a stage to do a throw and go or something, man, it's like everything plugs in right there.
It's so great to have the one spot, everything numbered and ready to go, and easy peasy.
Kind of somebody on stage helping you. It's like if they don't know your rig, it's like follow 1, 2, 3, 4. You're good.
Exactly. What is this someone on stage helping you thing you talk about? Is that? I've heard of such stage members. I haven't done a gig in a while, folks.
Oh man, flying solo, are you? That's pretty much it.
Well, yeah, I've been doing a lot of live stream gigs on a platform called Stage. And over COVID, I did about 140 of them.
Oh man, that's
so I got very good at being sound and lights and player and artist and
and video,
running tracks and video. So we're learning, we're juggling, folks.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, we're getting out and doing some shows.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, do you have anything coming up?
Well, the new record's April 1st.
Awesome.
That's the record that Josh Smith produced with me called Electric Truth, done at his studio and his band essentially, that we recorded right before COVID in January 2020. Yeah, and then we took a break.
Yeah.
And
as you do.
The before times.
Yeah.
And so now, but yeah, we're waiting. We've got some stuff going on in Europe and Southeast Asia, but everybody's being pretty hesitant to commit to anything lengthy. So.
Sure.
And I'm happy to wait until everybody can do things with less stress.
Yeah, do it right and not have to worry about it.
I got plenty of recording to do, lots of music. There's actually a whole record based around the Halo sound that I'll be doing. That's solo guitar music that I wrote during mostly during the COVID. So.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, stuff on the horizon always.
There's always stuff to do, stuff to learn. I'm just practicing every day. Trying to learn Barney Kessel licks.
Oh, no kidding, man. I hear you, man. I totally hear you on that. I've got that Barney Kessel book. We were talking about that book. That thing's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's like a real insight to Barney, man.
It is, very much so.
All right, we took a little detour off of Pedalboard there, but hey,
that's all right. All things music.
Good stuff, indeed. Andy, thanks, man.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much for being here. It's always good to see you. Always good to hang.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. And if you have any questions about the Halo, the AT, any of Andy's pedals, if you got questions about Andy, just reach out to your Sweetwater sales engineer. They'll give you all the information you need. Thanks.
you.